This mutation is called Diplomatic Immunity and is played on Oblivion Express. We have 3 mutators active, we have Polarity, Evasive Maneuvers, and we have Barrier. So this is going to be reasonably difficult. Polarity is really nasty. It means that you and your ally need to keep your army together for the duration of the mission to make sure that you can deal with any attack wave and any objective that spawns throughout the course of this mission. So we will see what the plan is here. Nova is going for a very standard build, and I believe so is Swann. Yes, he's playing this factory a little bit early, really good, but yeah, I think relatively normal builds here for both our players. Polarity is really difficult because usually when you're playing co-op, you and your ally would like to spread your armies to deal with various parts of the mission, but because of Polarity, you can't really do that, and it does make the mission significantly more difficult. It's one of the more difficult mutators to handle, and Evasive Maneuvers doesn't really help, and neither does Barrier. It just makes the unit significantly more tanky, and it does increase the potential losses you can have here. And for a commander like Nova, for example, losing your army to Polarity particularly feels really bad, because Nova is not really... She's not really limited in terms of, I want to say the resources, but technically that's not true. But she is limited in the sense that her units are on a cooldown. Her production is based on a cooldown rather than just limited by the number of production structures and whatnot. So if she ends up losing her army, it can take a very long time for Nova to rebuild that army, and it can cause her to end up losing the game. So we'll see how the players choose to address this issue. Nova is getting stim for her Marines first off, so that will allow the Marines to deal a little bit more damage, but she's already getting her starport out. So that starport will help her deal damage to the first train. I have also noticed that Nova has not taken her expansion. She has not built even a proxy command center, which is kind of interesting. Normally you'd see a proxy command center and then Marines would drop to try and deal, to try and clear these rocks. I believe Nova is not interested in doing that so far. Nova will be spawning anytime soon. Now there we go. Nova is out now, and she can deal with the first attack wave, but again, she needs help from her ally because Polarity is active, so she'll be able to one-shot a... expect it to be half of these units, but there will be another bunch of units that she will need her ally to help clear. We have Bioterran that's being spawned, and we just have a bunch of snipes that are coming out here.
Add-on complete, you clever scoundrel.
A shotgun blast comes out. We get ping from Nova telling her ally that I need you to clear these units, because Nova cannot actually do anything. She's just temporarily tanking these guys. Combat drop does come down here and ends up clearing the site. And this expansion has been cleared down, and Nova is going to put down her command center. Let's see what Nova's plan is here as well.
Upgrade complete.
The combat drop is being used here to clear these rocks. They should be moved down here to weaken this escort, because Nova is going to need some help here clearing. I think she will have... I don't think she's going to have enough resources to get her first set of Liberators out, but she should at least try and get this escort mostly cleared, and then she can deal with the rest of the train later. You can see the train, each carriage has its own polarity, so... both players can deal damage to the train, but it does require it requires you to focus fire down certain carriages. 2 siege tanks are already out here for Swann, so this is going to be a little bit of a struggle. Marauder tries to aggro Nova and just gets blasted by the siege tank over there, so that train is taking a good amount of damage. Some few snipes from Nova, and that train is going to go down. There is an attacker that will be coming up over here, but again, this attack wave has Polarity. So Nova is in position, but she needs her allies' help over there. A shotgun blast essentially makes all these units scatter, and they start working their way towards that laser drill. And because they are a little bit too close to the drill is not able to aggro these units, so it is going to cause some problems. But there is a siege tank over there that ends up shelling these units. One of the siege tanks goes down, but eventually that gets cleared up, and Swann realizes that Siege Tank goes down, so he's rebuilt it with his Immortality protocol. There is an SCV rally by Nova here to just try and get a few more SCVs to that expansion, reach a little bit of the optimal mining rate over here. A bunch of siege tanks are making their way here as well. They siege up and they'll start shelling these marines over here, and marines go down. Yeah, Swann is going to need a lot more siege tanks and a little bit more mobility to make his life a little bit easier. So he does have a starport, so all he needs is a Hercules, and that should be more than enough to move siege tanks around. So Nova has her Liberators out now, which is good, and that'll be enough to take out the train, but again, the escort has Polarity, and she will need to have her ally to help her take those out. Pings this side, she wants to clear this high ground, so it'll give them a very good tactical advantage on this side. Just having vision of the high ground makes it a little bit easier. Siege tanks start attacking the defenders on this side, and Nova cleans up whatever units are her Polarity there. So Nova's going to start sieging up from here now. So we have an airstrike that comes down and cleans up pretty much all of Nova's units. So what's left here is just Swann's Polarity units. So Swann drops the combat drop and is able to clean up this escort. We have 2 sets of Liberators now. That is more than enough DPS to take out the train. You can see they can focus fire down one of the carriages, and the entire train can go down.
Upgrade complete.
So this is what I mean about like combining 2 armies together. So Nova has her army and Swann has her army. They have to kind of stick together in order to deal with the escorts and the attack waves. So this is what makes Polarity itself a difficult mutator. It's just having to keep your allies' forces and your own together. And yeah, during the later stages, when you really have a large army, it doesn't matter too much. But in the early stages of the game, it can really stretch your resources thin. So it's something to take note of.
Upgrade complete.
Liberators siege up, siege tanks siege up as well, and these enemy units will start getting shelled by these siege tanks. 4 of the siege tanks do get repositioned a little bit forward and clean up the stack wave. This attack wave was fairly well handled here by both the players. Siege tanks in the back, Liberators in the front, and Nova tanking in front to just make sure that her units do not take damage. We have a couple of Ravens now that have come down to help Nova as well. Just heal up her army and provide a little bit of extra DPS from the railgun turrets, and the nuke goes down here, and pretty much almost perfect nuke. It wipes out most of the enemy defenders here, and now this is basically Swann's job, just to clear this side. Airstrike comes down, cleans up whatever is left, and now Swann just has to clean up this side here, and that's pretty much done. Few enemy stragglers are left over, but that's no big deal. Swann and Nova have their army completely ready here, so that'll be okay. This train is going to go down, and the other thing, I'm not sure why that concentrated beam was fired. I think that was relatively unnecessary for them to do. If they wanted to use their concentrated beam, they should have probably used it a little bit earlier, as soon as that attack wave spawned. I think that was a little bit wasteful. So over here we have a missile turret and a railgun turret for Nova, and over here as well, and over here, which is fine as long as the Ghost has a Nova Polarity. If the Ghost has a Swann Polarity, that Ghost is just going to walk all the way through and start nuking the bases. So this is something else to also note, that Swann needs to put his turrets and detectors here, or he might have a chance of getting nuked. So with that in mind, we'll see if Swann decides to put anything else out, because he doesn't appear to have any other kind of static defense put down.
Story of my life. We could use some help.
There is an attack wave that is spawning on this side now, is making its way towards the allied bases. Airstrike comes down, pretty much perfect targeting on the airstrike, wipes out everything that is Nova's Polarity, and now we just basically have Swann's army to come over here and deal with this attack wave. Combat drop again comes down to try and deal with the stack wave. It does relatively well, and there is a Ghost over there. I don't know whether you saw it, but there was a Ghost that was floating around this side here. It does end up getting picked off by the combat drop, so that's good. But again, Ghosts are going to start making their way towards the players' bases, so we'll see how they choose to handle that, because I still don't see any static defenses here for Swann. And this can cause a lot of problems.
Upgrades ready. Use it well.
Airstrike comes down here, cleans up again all of Nova's Polarity units, and the rest of these units get shredded by Swann siege tanks. So relatively well played here on both sides. This attack wave is relatively large, so using your cooldowns is generally a good idea here. This train will go down without really much effort. It does have a lower amount of HP, but now they have to try and take out this train. Again, there's probably going to need to be another airstrike here to deal with this wave. Let's see how Nova chooses to handle it. I think she's just sieged up her liberators. Okay, she's dropping a nuke down there. Nuke goes off, instantly wipes out most of these enemy units. And now we just have a bunch of ghosts here for Nova, but those things will be picked off relatively quickly as well. Train has gone down, so so far so good. I'm actually surprised there are no ghosts over here that have the Swann Polarity yet. It is kind of funny.
Our allies' base is in danger.
Okay, so there we go. That ghost actually got picked up by the laser drill. I think Swann is okay. No, that ghost actually managed to get his way through here, and I'm kind of surprised this guy is not actually nuking Swann's base. Swann has gotten so lucky with that because usually the ghost would end up nuking the guy, but
Our soldiers
apparently hasn't done that yet.
Allies are in a rough spot.
We have another airstrike that'll come down, and again, wipes out most of Nova's Polarity units. And now we have a nuke here for our allies, and I think this is coming in from Swann's base here. I think the Thors might be a little bit too late. Swann's base is just gonna get nuked on this side, I think. Doesn't end up losing really very much because that was a really badly placed nuke. I don't know about you guys, but whenever I get nuked right in the middle of my mineral line. So I end up losing a lot of production if I ever get nuked. That's how I learned my lesson about building defenses and static and detectors at the start of the mission every single time I'm up against Terran. Anyway, this attack wave has been finally cleared up by Swann, and now there is another train wave here. But yeah, Swann has gotten really lucky with that. With that ghost not nuking his base to oblivion. So the next train is out over here, and again, Nova has an airstrike, uses the airstrike, instantly wipes out all of her Polarity units. It's basically Swann's job now to clean up, and this train will again go down relatively quickly. Swann has enough siege tanks. A concentrated beam does go down here and does end up cleaning up a lot of the floors that were in that attack wave, and the train goes down relatively quickly here. And we have another ghost that has sneaked his way here, and again, no nuke for Swann. Like, Swann is getting really lucky over here. That ghost is over here now. I don't know what that critter is going to do, but it looks like he wants to nuke someone. Or maybe he's changed his mind. Maybe he's just going back home. He's like, you know what? Not going to really do anything. So that ghost does end up getting picked off by Swann, and that guy's gone back home. I'm not sure why, but there we go. The drill is aggroing these ghosts, but because of the evasive maneuvers, it is causing some problems here. This ghost will get picked off by the drill. Yep, gets skipped by the drill, and again, Swann is getting really lucky. He has no static defense. So basically, what's happening is his drill is aggroing these ghosts because he's not actually targeting anything else, and that drill is keeping him alive. I don't know whether he realizes that or not, but that is pretty insane. Airstrike will come down, railgun turret is dropped to just stall this attack wave, and this attack wave is now Swann's department. Nova is parked over here now to just okay, so she's set up her liberators on this side, and now there's another double train wave. This wave is going to be a little bit more tanky, a little bit more difficult to handle as well. So let's see how Nova chooses to deal with this. She decides to drop a nuke right in the center of that escort wave, instantly wipes a lot of the units out, but these evasive maneuvered units just end up blinking next to Nova, and they start dealing a lot of damage over here. Her ally actually has sieged up siege tanks on this side. I don't know whether they are in range, and now there is a nuke on Nova's side. Nova is suffering the consequences. Okay, they get some focus fired down by the drill, manually targeted by the drill there by Swann. Really nice targeting there, I think. I think it was manually targeted. I'd like to think it was manually targeted. Airstrike comes down here, cleans up again the escort down here, And now we have 2 trains, which have a very minimal amount of defenders here, but unfortunately Swann siege tanks are not within range of these hybrids, so they are going to be dealing a little bit of free damage on Nova's army. We have another hybrid over here. That railgun turret is not going to be enough to deal with 1, let alone 2 hybrids, but I think the sizes of the armies now kind of speak for themselves. We have a Swann army with Thor siege tank, which does a lot of good damage over there. Ghost again gets focus fired down, and we have those static defenses have gone down now from Nova, and there are a bunch of Spire Mines that get targeted. Takes out the hybrid over there, and there is a bonus objective that needs to be cleared on this side, but large number of Liberators, more than enough damage to clean up this string. This is the last, or potentially the second last attack wave of this mission, depending on how long this mission ends. So again, it was going to probably use an airstrike to clean up this attack wave. Drops a railgun turret to draw a little bit of aggro, and not that good positioning on the airstrike. The airstrike does miss, so Nova drops in a nuke on this side to just clean up this attack wave. We have a nuke now that's coming up from Ghost. The Ghost is actually on the low ground, which is kind of funny. Swann realizes this, pulls his SCVs. The nuke is going to hit and take out probably the supply depots and stuff, but does end up saving his SCVs here. SCVs will get re-rallied on here. This is also one of the reasons why you do not build your structures on the edges of the cliff, because Amon does have some kind of global knowledge of where your structures are, so they will end up nuking you from the low ground, which is really annoying, but it's just the way Amon cheats. We all know Amon is a cheater here. Airstrike, again, wipes out most of this escort. I think most of these things, I think that siege tank is still Nova Polarity, but she's done most of her part now, and Swann siege tanks now are just left to clean up whatever's left of his Polarity units. But there's a strong focus fire down on this train here that is going to bring this train down relatively quickly, which means we're not going to be seeing the next attack wave reach the enemy base on this side. And yeah, that is the last train that has gone down. The attack wave has just spawned, but that is the end of the mission, and that is GG.